Um, we had a interesting story. Back in the 90s, Dignity New York had a public access TV show called the Gay Catholic Hour. So it was on the local, the local community cable network. Here they call it Manhattan Neighborhood Network. On the local, it's Spectrum now is the main cable carrier in Manhattan. It used to be Time Warner, but anyway, we had this half-hour cable show once a month, and it was really good. We had, if I say so myself, we had some people who were, had worked in broadcast. We had a couple of hosts, a lot of interviews. There was a lot happening at that time. I mean, there were different letters from the Vatican. It was still the height of the AIDS crisis. There was just lots of activism. So we had, and it was all on VHS tape. And it was in the basement of one of the producers, and which was in upstate New York at that time. And I mean, there were other copies floating around, but he had more or less a complete set. And I want to say, I've lost track, Amy, of how many tapes there were, but I would say there were at least 100 of both finished shows and raw footage of interviews and stuff like that. So I and some other people were like, look, we've got to do something with this because we know things can happen, especially VHS, it deteriorates and all that. We got hold of it like right before they had a flood in their basement in upstate New York. So we got the tapes. Good. Okay, so we had the tapes. They were in the storage. I had them for a while. Then they were in our storage space. And we had a guy, and we finally decided, look, we've got to get these converted to digital ourselves. And we had a guy who worked for a cable company. They were one of these companies that provided digital music. Remember those music channels that every cable company would have, jazz or classical or whatever. He worked for one of those. Young guy, techie. And he said, I can, I'll do it. I'll handle it. Which he did. He found us a good company. They did it. They converted it, put it on a server for us. I downloaded it all into 2 hard drives. I think they removed it from their server after a while because, limited service. And so again, this is all happening, sort of coming to a head right before COVID hits. So Craig, the fellow who he received the tapes back and into his office. His office shuts down. Of course, it goes on for way longer than anybody expected. Next thing he knows, he's lost his job. They cleared out his office. There's no more tapes. Nobody can tell him where they were. Fortunately, we'd had them converted. And because the archivist at the center said, well, do you still have the tapes? I said, no, we don't, despite our best efforts. But, thank God we did get them converted digitally. So I guess that's a cautionary tale for, for everybody out there. It's like, do it as soon as you can, I mean, obviously, these things sat around for a long time, but it's really good to act as soon as you possibly can, get them into a safe space because things happen, unexpected things happen, including in our case, a basement flood and a COVID clear out. And we just were lucky that we kind of dodged the bullet there.